Well, thank you, everyone. It's so good to be back with you. I've been traveling this week and actually back in the Midwest taking care of my mother. She had knee surgery, so I'm cooking all her meals and taking good care of her. It's a very nice experience for me to be able to share and spend a little time with my mom. So it's been really wonderful. So thank you all for joining me. Just a couple announcements. So I will be beginning to offer online meditations, and they'll be donation-based. So I'm thinking of just another way that the Sangha can come together. And, with this new year, many people have, said they're going to eat better or they're going to do yoga or exercise or whatever. And I thought a nice way for us to connect would be on Zoom and to meditate together. And so I'll post some details on my website and put out perhaps a newsletter about it. And so just look for that. There's a good chance I'll be doing it right before this broadcast, but I haven't got the time exactly established just yet. So just look for details about that. Also, there's room for my upcoming retreat in Carbondale, Colorado, and there's also scholarships available. So don't, if you have financial issues or spent too much on Christmas or too many bills, or maybe you work for the federal government and you're not receiving a paycheck. So, just ask for a scholarship. I'll be happy to offer you one of those. Don't let money get in the way of coming to any of my live events. So that invitation is for you to join us and to connect in a deeper way. And so I'm trying to think, I felt like I had a couple more announcements. Oh yeah, big thank you to Julia, to Chris, to Butch, for everyone for offering their donations this week for the previous satsang. So thank you. The satsang is supported by donation, and you can go to my website and offer a donation there if you feel in your heart you want to share and help spread this good news. So thank you in advance. So I received a lot of questions this week about our subtle energetic body. And so I thought I'd speak about that, but I'm going to invite, everyone, let's just spend a couple minutes, closing our eyes and just feeling the fundamental presence of your nature. I'm going to invite you to connect to your spacious nature. And so if you're just sitting here and you're listening to the sound of my voice, I invite you to close your eyes and just notice there is a silent witness here, a silent sky-like nature of your mind, of your presence. And this sky-like nature is not resisting. It's not fighting with anything. Simply hearing the sound of my voice. It may be noticing different sensations within your body. It's awake, it's aware. And it's divine. What you are is divine. Is divine. So if you feel into your subtle energetic body, well, that doesn't have to be any mysterious thing, but I invite you to feel the aliveness of your heart. You could even feel the aliveness like the balls of your feet and your calves, your shins, your thighs. There's this quiet presence of aliveness that's naturally good. It's not judging anyone. It's not worried about this or that. But there's this quiet, innocent goodness beyond name, beyond form, beyond gender. It's spacious, it's fluid, it's radiant, it's luminous. Regina was speaking before me, and she was saying this joy is within. It's like a causeless joy. If you feel into your heart, there's the quiet radiance, even before emotion arises. There's a causeless radiance and joy in our hearts, in our spine, in our belly, in the palms of our hand, in the crown chakra. And so let us just imagine the crown chakra is open and awake, and you just feel this tingling sensation on the crown chakra. You're not doing anything, not creating anything, but just noticing. As you bring your awareness to your crown, it starts to come alive. It's always alive, but it's you're noticing the aliveness there. Some people have the crown chakra closed, and so I'm going to invite you just to imagine just opening a door there. If you were, like one of those, well, I'll just say it this way. Just imagine there's a bowl on the top of your head. It's receiving. It's receptive of God's grace. It's receptive of the hugeness of the night sky. And so you're just feeling that. And you're allowing that receptivity to wake up in the space of the third eye. And so you feel yourself spacious and open. You're so spacious that the sound of my voice just comes into you. You're so spacious that any thought can arise within your consciousness. So don't fight with any thoughts. You just allow them to come and go. You allow the sensations of your body to come and go. So you feel this aliveness in the crown. You feel this quietude and silent witnessing in the space of the third eye. You can open and relax the throat chakra. Relax the shoulders, the throat, the neck, the spine. Feel a quiet, luminous radiance in your heart. Sometimes people feel a lot of emotion in their heart. And I'm going to invite you just to breathe. If there's any emotion or heartache or despair, just breathe through it. And notice this quiet joy beneath it all. Quiet radiance, aliveness beneath it all. You can allow the emotion. You can forgive yourself for being human, for being attached, for being confused, for holding on. You can take a deep breath and just do some gentle forgiveness work, just reminding yourself it's okay to relax, it's okay to breathe, it's okay to smile. It's okay not to worry in this moment. When I'm sitting here with my friend Craig and the other folks in the room. So we're breathing. You can feel in the solar plexus and just relaxing the solar plexus. Relax the belly, lower belly, the pelvis, the pelvic floor. And we're just feeling this quiet presence. Very gentle, luminous presence. What you are, your subtle energetic body, you're just helping it to wake up. And if you feel courageous or inspired, just in the most humble way, you can call God into you. Call the Divine Mother. You say, Mother, will you fill me with your grace, with your light, with your love? You can call the Divine Father. Father, will you fill me with your wisdom, your clarity, your freedom, your spaciousness? I invite you just to take a deep breath and just imagine just opening all 7 doors of the chakra centers. And you're letting in your best friend, the highest grace, the highest love. So you're just calling upon God. God, show me your light. Show me your love. Show me your compassion. Help me to forgive. Help me to let go. Help me to be an instrument of thy peace, of thy love, of thy truth, of thy wisdom. Help me to share your grace, to be a light worker here on planet Earth. And so you can just take a couple deep, full belly breaths, just breathing in this grace, this light, this love. And you're just inviting your subtle energetic body to be blessed with grace, with goodness, with divinity. So you can take a couple more deep, full belly breaths. And just noticing, if you give yourself permission to relax, you feel yourself more alive, more vibrant, more radiant than just a couple minutes ago. You're giving God permission to have her way with you, to have her way with you. Deep, full belly breaths, breathing in and breathing out. Just welcoming this grace. Welcoming this blessing this evening. So breathing in, breathing out. And whenever you're ready, you can just gently open your eyes. But as always, I encourage you to stay with your experience. So if you open your eyes, I encourage you to notice the radiance in the room, the quietude, the silence, the spaciousness. And even if there's sounds where you are, you hear the sound of a dog barking or someone walking around outside. I invite you to notice that all these sounds arise out of the space of silence. There's this quiet witness here that's witnessing your life, that's witnessing the arising and the falling of this or that. So I encourage you just to breathe, to feel, to notice. Notice the big picture, big picture. Our ego always notices the small picture. It notices problems or struggles or arguments or where we don't feel good. I invite you to notice the big picture. All of us are sitting in space, so much space. Our mind, our body is made of space. So the more you feel into the space, the more you experience this space as what you are, the more divine you will feel yourself and know yourself to be. The more you experience this, the subtle joy of your energetic body, the subtle joy of aliveness, the more you acknowledge this as what you are, and you begin to know yourself as this instead of, I'm the collection of the silly thoughts in my consciousness. Everyone has silly thoughts. Those thoughts don't even belong to you. What belongs to you is this quiet, radiant aliveness. And so when you feel into this, you know that you are an angel. You know that you are divine. You know that you are holy. When you feel the spaciousness of your consciousness, the spaciousness of your subtle energetic body, you know you are holy. There's no doubt. But if you say, I'm the silly thoughts in my head, I'm the memories in my past, I'm a New Yorker, or I'm oh, whatever people call themselves, a movie producer, or a actor, or an accountant, or whatever, then you make yourself quite small. But when you allow yourself to be as big as the sky, you experience yourself as holy, as divine. When you have your crown chakra open to God's grace, and she starts coming into you on a daily basis, spontaneously, you feel as if you are a child of the Most High. It's a glorious way to live. And I always tell people grace is free. It doesn't cost anything. God wants nothing more than just to love you and bless you, connect with you, flood you with light. This experience that we have of being human, like a human animal, is such a limiting experience. It's just like it's just like the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. To truly be human, when you open up to your divinity, it's endless. The way Christ said it, he said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. And so when you go within, there's like 1,000,001 mansions to explore that can manifest in you, as you, through you. Makes for an incredible life. And so I encourage you just to play with having your crown open, you space your mind open, your throat chakra open, your heart open, and just call upon the Mother. Invite her to walk with you on the way to work, to drive with you in the car, to sit in traffic. I'm in a place with a lot more people than I'm normally accustomed to, and I notice that people sit in traffic and they just, they do the thing with their phone. They scrolling. You can sit in traffic and open your chakras and invite grace to flood the car. You can have a profound spiritual experience, sitting in traffic. When I was when I got off the plane here in Cincinnati to take care of my mother, people got off the plane and they're walking through the airport, staring at their phones, walking really slow and scrolling, just like literally like zombies, just like walking. And I thought, we can connect all day long to the internet, or we can connect to the Most High, to the divine mind, divine love, divine compassion. And just like the internet can take you into, 1,000,001 worlds, different worlds, get in all kinds of trouble and maybe do some shopping or, find something good or connect with friends across the planet via the internet. We can do the same with God. We can connect to whole new worlds, whole new realities, just simply by opening. I can't tell you how many times God has taken me into spontaneous states of samadhi or heaven realms or realms of, incredible divinity and light and bliss and love and things that we don't even have words for, just through keeping these doors open. And it's not like there's anything special about me. These gifts are available to us all, to us all. And so you can call upon God and say, show me the highest love, and open your heart, open your body and receive. Or you could just open and just say, you show me what I need to know, what I need to learn, or what I need to open to. And let God pick, let her intelligence rule. And so you can place a request, like going out to dinner, or you can just open and see what she brings you. And keep in mind, some people I know, they've gotten quite frightened of opening to God. And we have to remember we're opening to the compassion, the intelligence, the love of the universe. Some people are terrified because sometimes when they open to God, she will change our life very quickly. And sometimes the change is, slightly or intensely traumatic for our human world. But in the end, once you walk through the journey with her, you'll find it's a much greater life. And too often people on the path, they look at the short-term things. They said, I asked for a change and then my husband left me and I lost my job and this and that. But God doesn't leave you there. That's just the beginning of the journey. She will take you to somewhere wonderful in the end. For me, at one point in my life, she took my house and my marriage and my son away and my business. But that was just temporary. She was just, helping to empty me out, to bring me a much greater life. A much greater life. It was uncomfortable at the time and inconvenient, but it was something quite incredible after a little bit of time, And so it's good to trust and to be open. I'm stubborn, and so God had to kind of turn my world upside down for me to learn, what she was trying to show me. But Mother Mira, who taught with Sri Aurobindo, she used to speak about the sunlit path. It doesn't have to be hard. You can just open and ask for the Most High. And if you follow her grace, her wisdom, you can take the sunlit path, which is a path of bliss, a path of love, a path of freedom that's very gentle. And so it doesn't have to be difficult. So don't let me scare anyone. And so anyways, I just want to just say hi to everyone. I'll say hi to see who's here. Tree and Adrian and Patsy, Tatiana. Hello, Miss Ivy in Los Angeles. Aura, and who else is here? Marco and Jay, and Patricia. I think this is Kathy, Suzanne, Lisa, Danny, Dawn, Lynn, Joanne. This last one I might have hard saying. It looks like Imani. I hope I got that right. So hello everyone. And so if you have a question, you can type it in the chat. You can ask for the mic and we can play that game. I have a bunch of questions, mostly around the subtle energetic body. And so I'll start answering my emails. And then if you have something, you can raise your hand or, type something in the little message board. But this week I received all kinds of questions. The first one's kind of a funny one. Is sometimes I meet with individuals, and I know I've said this before, and they say, Craig, I'll tell you this big, difficulty that I'm having in life, and you laugh out loud, sometimes like a little bit hysterically, and sometimes people think I'm laughing at them, and I'm going to clarify here. When you walk on the path, when you spend a lot of time in meditation, you begin to find every experience every human experience, every emotion within yourself. Within yourself. So any good teacher will be able to relate with, just about anyone on the planet. And when you spend enough time in meditation, you find anger, grief, sadness, jealousy, rage, heartache, despair. You can find all these difficult places, all these wonderful places. You know what it's like fully to be human. And so when I laugh, I'm just laughing at, this crazy experience of being human. God made us divine and then put us in animal bodies that have, really attached and intense emotions. And so when I laugh, I guess someone tells me, "Oh, Craig, I went through this really terrible experience." And I laugh out loud. I laugh because I know that terrible experience. It's like, wow, isn't life crazy? Isn't it crazy? And we can laugh or cry. And I normally do both. I laugh and I cry because life is, it's a wild ride. And it's just such a strange paradox that God puts us, these divine beings, this angelic presence, like that's what we are. We are an angelic presence. There's not a person I haven't met on the planet who isn't an angel. All of us are angels. Yet we're given an animal body. And it's such a paradox to be stuffed into an animal body, a body that has a fight or flight response, that gets anxious, that worries, that struggles, that fights, that has conditioning from the past. We have all of our ancestors conditioning in us, and it's just silly, to be a light being in an animal body. But this is, this is the experience that God is having in the form of you and I. And so if you ever find yourself on the path and you have a powerful spiritual awakening and you're like, oh my God, I'm enlightened. This is incredible. And then the next day you find yourself in the grips of jealousy or rage or heartache or despair. And you're thinking there's something really wrong with you, or that you messed up, or you lost your, your enlightenment, that you just experienced the day before. You didn't lose anything. You are still an angel. You're an angel in a human body. In a human body. Now, you did not invent anger. You did not invent sadness. You did not invent attachment. God invented all these. God created this world and the causes and conditions. So don't blame yourself for being human or judge yourself for being human. You're welcome to blame God. She created this world. She created our humanity. She created anger and everything in between. Anger and bliss and everything in between. And so, of course, the journey here is to walk in the direction of bliss, the direction of freedom, the direction of truth. And as we do so, we get to help God evolve the earth plane out of an animal plane into a divine plane. And that's what we're all doing, every single one of us, whether we know it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not. This is what we are all doing. So, all right, so let's see here. So I have a bunch of questions about what I call the silly topic of Kundalini awakening. And I'm going to just, maybe I'm going to stop using that word Kundalini and just say this. All of us here on planet Earth have a subtle energetic body. A subtle energetic body. And deep buried within the subtle energetic body, in the root chakra, is a seed. It's a seed the same way that God had a seed when all the universe was condensed into one little point of matter. And at some point, God decided, I'm going to explode out and create worlds. Scientists call this the Big Bang. That same seed of the Big Bang is within us. The same way, God said we are made in her image and likeness. We are made in her image and likeness in that we are love, we are joy, we are compassion, we are spaciousness, we are peace, we are freedom. We are also explosive creativity. And so deep buried within the subtle energetic body is this seed of explosive aliveness and divinity. And so I received all these questions this week, and some people wrote me really long emails. Let's see, I'll just read out a list of the names. I might try to answer them all at once, but got them from Tyler and from Alexis and from Anna and from Mike. All these individuals, and mostly they were just hanging out, having a human experience, and all of a sudden they had this explosive force just awaken within them. And whether they felt a rush of energy up the spine, or they felt as if they were blasted out of their human body, and felt like they were just looking at their life, and their life just looked like a dream. Whether they had lots of anxiety from the intensity of the awakening, because sometimes when we have so much energy move through our body, our human nervous system just calls it anxiety. But all of us, we are purely energy. Our body, our consciousness, our presence is nothing but energy. That's all we are. That's all everything here is on planet Earth. And this is nothing esoteric. You can ask any physicist and say everything is energy. We are energy. And so sometimes the energy vibrates really fast, sometimes really slow. Sometimes our energy is manifest as the vibration of pure peace, or as pure light, or spaciousness. And so when your energy starts waking up and vibrating at a new speed, at a new rate of vibration, and you are accustomed to identifying with like your body as being like this solid, like this is me, I'm made out of, whatever it is, skin and meat and bones. If you identify as yourself as skin and meat and bones, and you start to feel this huge presence of energy within you, it might be frightening, it might be confusing. You might feel really hot or really cold or really spacious, or, like one fella wrote, if I can pull up his email, it's really beautiful. He wrote, let me see who this is. His name is Tyler. He said, Craig, I recently begun meditating, no more than 10 minutes per day. This is beautiful. And this experience occurred to me in the middle of the crowded streets in New York City, and was the most terrifying moment of my entire life. I was suddenly detached from my body, and my body was walking around on autopilot, or maybe it was always walking around on autopilot, and I instantly became aware. I felt really far away and like I was slipping inward and outward at the same time. I said to myself, oh, is this what it is like to die? I literally had to sit down on the pavement while tons of people were walking around me. I didn't know who was seeing or who was hearing anymore. And I really began to freak out. See, here's me laughing, here's me laughing. I really began to freak out because I know this experience. I know this experience. I was luckily able to call a taxi and get back to my apartment Ever since that day, I've been terrified to leave my house. I've only done so a couple of times. And so Tyler, my friend, I'm going to encourage you to get in touch with this Zen-like awareness that you are. You've always been this Zen-like awareness. And just to notice, like if you can take some deep, full belly breaths and notice you are okay. Even though you are waking up and your body may feel strange, your consciousness may feel strange. You may even go into like a fight or flight response of like, oh my God, I'm dying. So when we experience something radically different, like a radical shift in consciousness, our normal everyday nervous system, our normal everyday thinking mind will look to categorize our experience and put it quickly in a box of something we know. And so if it's something unknown, it will label it something silly like death or sickness or disease or psychosis, I'm going crazy or whatever it is. And I encourage you to not categorize, if I can say that word, your experience that way. Just to notice. Notice exactly what you're feeling. I'm feeling spacious. I'm feeling big. I'm feeling a sense of freedom. And just rest with that. Don't go into fight or flight. Feel your feet on the ground. And just notice you're okay. I am okay. There's no immediate danger. Sometimes I tell people, scan your environment and notice there's no danger. No danger. I'm going to tell a funny story, and I know I've told this one before, but I live in a state where marijuana is legal. I also live in a state where people like to go on these things called boat trips. A boat trip in Colorado means you get in a big rubber raft and you go floating down a river. And normally you camp out overnight. And so some friends of mine went on a boat trip, and they got up the next morning, and one of the fellas said, "Hey, I've got some spice cake for everyone." And if someone told me they had spice cake, my silly question would be, is it vegan? Just thinking it's cake that's spicy. Well, spice cake is cake that's made with marijuana in it. And so one of the ladies, she ate some spice cake, and she didn't know that it had marijuana in it. And so she's floating down the river, and all of a sudden her consciousness started to change. She started to feel strange in her body. She immediately, and everyone else who ate the cake, even my friend's little boy ate the cake, and he just had fun, playing in the water and laughing and smiling. Almost everyone was laughing and smiling and joking and whatever. But one woman, she went into a fight or flight response. She demanded that, they get out the, whatever it was, the satellite radio, and have her medevaced out of, they were on the, I think they were actually on the Grand Canyon trip, to be honest. It's a really big boat trip. And or they were in the middle of the Utah desert, somewhere, far away. And she wanted the helicopter to come get her out of there because she started having a panic attack. And so some people, when they step into a new state of consciousness, it can be like, if, someone gave you a big glass of wine and you didn't know you were drinking wine, or, if you ingested a psychedelic or substance or marijuana or something, all of a sudden your consciousness might change and you might feel strange. But you have to trust. If you don't want to go crazy, it's good to trust. It's good to feel your feet on the ground and just know, I'm okay. I just feel a little different. I feel a little strange. I feel expanded, or I feel energy going up my spine. I feel my chakras or my heart is opening. God is waking you up to new worlds. When you go into what Jesus called, my Father's mansions, you're stepping into new worlds, new aspects of consciousness. It should feel wild. It should feel amazing and incredible, or really different than the normal human life. This is good. And so if your body freaks out, one of the most helpful things you can do is just self-soothe. Imagine just being a good mother. If a mother's child is crying, she picks up the child. She says, "Sweetie, it's going to be okay. Breathe, relax," and you rub her back. You rub her back. What a good father does is says, "Hey, everybody relax. We're going to be okay." So when we invoke these two presences, the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, the Divine Masculine, the Divine Feminine, we embrace our experience, we embrace our body, we breathe, and we help it to relax. That's the Divine Feminine. The Divine Father is you breathe and you feel your feet on the ground and you trust. And you say, "I'm okay. We are okay. We're not going to die here. We're just experiencing something different." Even if it's difficult, even if it's confusing. And so we have to be tough here on the spiritual path. Tough. And so my good friend who noticed the lady going crazy on the boat trip and was screaming at everyone to call the helicopter to come get her. He went, he sat next to her. He put his hand on her leg, he rubbed her back, and he said, "Sweetie, relax. It's going to be okay. Just hold my hand, smile, enjoy the ride." It's just a little, whatever, marijuana in your system. If you didn't want it, you can't get it out of you. Just, just ride it out. Just ride it out. So, I normally don't recommend, taking drugs or ingesting drugs, but, if you have something in your body, just like a sickness, you're going to breathe and you're going to ride it out. Just ride it out. But if you can get yourself grounded and rooted, you begin to notice, I am okay. I'm okay. God is powerful. Spiritual awakening is powerful. But the reason she is waking up in you is because she has faith in you. She has faith in you. She made you divine. She made you a goddess. So she trusts that you can handle what you are. The question is do you trust? Do you trust that you can handle what you are? When I was a child, I would walk around and I knew my human consciousness as a child was not the full picture. I knew there was something more here. I knew there was a greater experience to be had. And I used to lay out on the warm pavement at night, sit out in the driveway of my house. We lived out in the country. I'd feel the warmth of the earth holding me, and I would just look out at the night sky and I would just let my consciousness expand as big as the sky. Now, someone also could sit there in my body and say, "I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm facing death because I no longer feel small and human." Or they could just open their heart and let themselves be big. If you trust that the universe is good, that you are safe, that your consciousness is divine, when you start to awaken, it's a lot easier for you. If you fear the world, or fear death, or think that if you're not in control of your, little human experience all the time. As you start to awaken and your consciousness expands, you'll feel as if you're losing control. But losing control is the same as letting go. You're letting go into that which is divine. You're not letting go into, I don't know, something bad, like an abusive relationship. You're letting go into a divine relationship, a divine relationship with your own consciousness and the consciousness of God, which is one and the same. Okay, so here, let's see what questions we have. Craig, for years my body has been vibrating like an air compressor. It became so normal. I just guess why it is so difficult to find information or truth about this. It is like, it's very mysterious. I just stopped expecting anything about it. It's just a manifestation of energy, I guess. Yes, so Lisa, one of the things about having a teacher is a good teacher, they know about energy. They know that we are energy. They know about your 7 chakra centers. They know how to help you, in a sense, manage your energy. And by that, I mean open to it and let it flow. Energy wants to flow. Your consciousness wants to flow. If sometimes as an air compressor actually builds up pressure. And so, what we want is we want all the pressure valves to be open. When all the 7 chakra centers are open, when the 10,000 nadis in the body, that's like all the little micro chakras within the body, are open and relaxed and at ease, energy flows through you. And this is what energy wants. Energy wants to express itself. It wants to flow and create whole new worlds, whole new experiences. But as a human animal, when we have a fight or flight response inside, if we have tightness or tension, if we have people from the past who we have not forgiven, if we're carrying around 10,000 pounds of pain from the past, we are neurotically or unconsciously closing our centers. Energy is not flowing and it builds, and we actually start to feel quite anxious. And so sometimes when those doors open, there's a rush of spontaneous energy that moves through the nervous system, and people are like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm having 10,000 thoughts all at once. And all that is it's all the thoughts releasing from your consciousness. It's all the old anger or anxiety or fear that you repressed within you. It's simply leaving. And so it's important to allow everything to be open. The beautiful thing about when we're open, you naturally feel joyous and blissful. When you feel closed, you feel more condensed, yet more in control. But it tends to feel like hell. For most people on the spiritual path, when they describe their inner world, they feel like they're locked in prison. When they say, I'm locked in the prison of my own mind, and they're wanting to transcend their life, what really needs to happen is we just need to open our chakra centers. So a great way of opening is anything you do to relax. And I don't care if it's a bubble bath or, doing an hour and a half of yoga or meditation, going on quiet walks in nature. Anything you can do to relax. As you relax, your chakra centers naturally open. The more we think in our mind, the more closed we become. The reason is when we think too much in our head, we focus all of our energy, of our the totality of our consciousness. If we focus it all, in one center, especially right here in the prefrontal cortex, all of our energy becomes condensed in this one area, and the chakra centers naturally contract when you focus on one center. But when you do the opposite, when you pay attention to the fullness of your energetic body, the chakra centers naturally open. They naturally open. And so if you can become awake and aware throughout your body, the chakra centers naturally open, energy flows, and you start to feel more holy just when you're walking around in your daily life. This is why so many people love yoga. Yoga is like this great trick. You go there and the teacher just tells you, pay attention to the soles of your feet. Pay attention to your shoulders. Relax, breathe, feel your belly, your pelvis, your heart. And as you're feeling, you're just waking up all these centers. And you go from being, just having a consciousness that's really small and egoic in your forehead or in your throat to expanding it into being throughout your entire body. And you'll feel wonderful. Okay, great. Jay is writing. Jay, what are you telling me? You're coming to Colorado? Well, Jay, come say hi. Come say hi in Colorado. Let's see here. What else here? The question, this is from, let's see here. The question is this what it feels like to die? Is what triggered the fear? The mind wants to answer questions, so the best thing to do is say, this too shall pass. Yes, that's good. I like that. So whatever experience you're having, it can be helpful to have a little mantra to step back into your spacious awareness and just say, this too shall pass. Whatever it is, if it's difficult, it will pass. The good news is if you connect with your subtle energetic body, this vast, spacious witness, you already begin to feel better. You begin to feel more spacious, more free, more light, more holy. And from this space of holiness, you just allow whatever it is that's uncomfortable to pass. To pass. Okay. Tyler writes, I have always had resistance to this vastness since I was a child. I always had a fear of deep water. Yes, and so Tyler, I encourage you just to explore the vastness. And what I was saying earlier, I said, if you look around and just notice within the space of vastness, there is no real danger. If you let yourself be big and just notice there's no real danger here. And so just trust in that, trust in the immediacy of your experience. So when you tell me you've always had a fear of deep water, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I'll just take a guess here. Sometimes we bring fears from a previous lifetime. Sometimes we bring fear from when we were young and we had trauma. So if you first came into this world and you felt like you were drowning, as you were being born, because of whatever, you got some fluid in your lungs or this or that, or, you died in your previous lifetime from drowning, then, sometimes we carry these traumas in our body. Sometimes, the fear of drowning has to do with one of our ancestors actually drowned and they never came to peace with that experience. And so that starts to manifest within our own consciousness. There's a whole field of biology that studies this called epigenetics that speaks about these traumatic experiences are passed down, on this like the sleeve of the genes. And oftentimes they're not even our fears, they're our ancestors' fears. The best thing to notice is that you are not drowning. That's why I say look around. I'm not drowning. Sometimes, as you start to feel your mind the way the Buddha described it is sky-like. And so as people's minds expand into the sky, some people, a lot of people have told me, Craig, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm losing my mind. You're not losing your mind. Your mind is going from being very small, centered in the prefrontal cortex, to being very vast. Your mind is expanding and becoming sky-like. becoming sky-like. Okay, let's see here. Okay, what other questions do I have here? Okay, so this person wrote that she was involved in, she was doing the TRE method, the trauma release exercises, and then she also started to have glimpses of Kundalini rushes throughout the spine. So basically, that's just a lot of energy going up the spine. And then 2 days ago, she was in a rather serious car accident. She was fortunate not to be injured. The shock was mostly located around my back and right kidney area. A few hours later, the feeling of pressure in my head that started before intensified the day after. I had intense shivering and my whole body was shaking, feeling nauseous with intense sadness. Most of the anxiety around my life is gone now. The experience allowed me to deal with a lot of survival fear. My root chakra took most of the shock during the accident. My Kundalini shivers all the way up through the spine. It's kind of like the Kundalini is flowing through my body. I don't feel alone anymore. Okay, yeah, Alexis, this is an interesting experience that you're having. And so a lot of people who do TRE, which is trauma release exercises, what they do is they're releasing trauma, and trauma shakes, it shakes out of the body. The same thing happens with Kundalini. When it wakes up, it shakes throughout your body. And so when you're when you're doing TRE work, you can excite the Kundalini, you can awaken the Kundalini. When you have a shock, the Kundalini can become quite excited. And so I've had this similar experience that you had. After my Kundalini woke up, anytime I was shocked, I would just have all this shivering and I'd get really cold and my body would shake and tremble and I became much more sensitive. So all of this is normal. There's nothing strange about it. It's just, we have a very powerful, subtle, energetic body. This is the truth. And the further you walk on the path, the more sensitive your body becomes. Become very, very sensitive. And so your job is to relax, to breathe, to let go. And it's always helpful on the spiritual path to do trauma work. The more trauma work you do, the more empty your chakras will be. And then the Kundalini can flow through you more fluidly. And anytime you're in a car accident, your body is supposed to shake afterwards. That's a good thing. That's your body just naturally releasing the trauma. So this is good. Okay, let's see here. I guess I'm getting near the end. Let's see, the last question is also from Mike, and it's about Kundalini, and I think I've mostly answered it. But the good news is, whatever you are experiencing, if you relax, if you feel your feet on the ground, and trust that what you are is divine. What will begin to happen is God, life, the universe, evolution will open you up to new worlds, new realms, new experiences. If you contract while your energetic system is awakening, you will feel fear and confusion. And it'll be really, you'll just have this confusing experience. Like the lady on the boat who, ate the marijuana cake, and she freaked out. So the other 10 people on the trip, got out and played in the mud and splashed water and looked at the beautiful red canyon walls in the Utah desert. They watched the colors become alive and dance. And so the same is true of spiritual awakening. If you relax, if you breathe, as your subtle energetic body comes alive, you feel your feet on the ground and trust that this is good, you will have a very holy and divine experience. If you contract and say, I can't control this, I'm going crazy, you might go a little crazy. You'll just make yourself anxious. If you go to the emergency room, they'll think you're crazy and put you on a heavy dose of of something, to calm down your nervous system. And that probably will not be helpful nor good for you. Just trust. Trust that you are divine. Trust that you are holy. Know it. Experience it. Fall in love with what you are. Fall in love. All of us are on this grand adventure of consciousness. A grand adventure. So be an adventurer. Be an explorer. Open up. No one wants to have a boring, mundane life. Explore this. Open to something greater. This is the invitation. It's not even coming from me. It's coming from God to you, from life to you, from the universe to you. Explore me. Once upon a time, God was sitting, before time, all by herself. And she exploded with light and created 10,000 worlds and realms and billions and trillions of beings. And she invited each and every one of us to know ourselves as God, to explore this divinity that we are, that she created. So enjoy it. Don't have a boring life. Have an incredible life. Incredible life. So anyways, I won't keep you all any longer. I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. I hope nothing was too weird or bizarre for anyone tonight. It's so good to sit with you all and to see your beautiful faces on Zoom. I feel so honored to be here with you all this evening. So if you want to support the work through a donation, you can visit my website. It's myname.com. I thank you deeply for that. And I do encourage you to, if you feel called, join us on the retreat. If you can make it happen. And if not, we'll have more. So I know a lot of people have been scared of the snow in Colorado, and so saying, when are you coming to California? So I'm have that in the works as well. So much love to you all. You all take good care and join me on this exploration of consciousness. Join me. So much love to you all. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.